talk about this half-speed mastering. Now,
Sure.
I hear that a lot with higher-end vinyl releases. Maybe you can go into that a little bit.
Yeah. The mastering process for vinyl is you have your mix. So now we're going to make the version which will create the master stamper plate.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that involves cutting grooves into wax. Now, the speed of the cut dictates the cleanliness of the groove. So half-speed mastering actually slows down the actual mastering process to half speed so that the cut is cleaner. So you can imagine if you're running a piece of wood through a saw, if you go fast, you're going to get the sort of dirty edges.
Yeah.
If you go slower, you'll get a cleaner cut.
And for the speed, like,
Result,
are we talking like half of 33 1/3, or are we talking?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people say that that's a bunch of hocus pocus. If you talk to Gil at Capsule Labs, I'm sure what I've said today isn't quite the scientific language he would choose, but listening to him explain it to me with scientific terminology, that's how I translate. It's basically the cleanliness of the cut.
There's about 5 or 6 generations between the stamper and that initial wax master. So the sharper the cut, the cleaner the cut, the better your eventual stamper is going to sound.
Exactly.
I mean, that's how I see it. So
that's a great way to see it.
So it just makes sense in an analog world. You would want the sharpest cut, sharpest sound.
I have a great story about mastering. When we got to that phase with Gil at Capsule Labs, this was mastered for the CD.
Sure.
When I brought Gil that, and he ran it through his processors to see if it could even be put on vinyl, he's like, we're going to have a problem on that song, Signum Crucis, track 7. We're going to have a problem on this song, track 9, Legends and Lore. We're going to have a problem on this song, the last song, Madness is My Destiny. And, you know, my dumbass, I was like, well, why? And he was like, you don't understand. This is different from, I don't have a CD with me, than this. And I was like, of course it is. But he's like, no, let me show you. So he had this little scope, and anytime there was this thing called phasing, which is when, you know, the sound frequencies were so dynamic that the needle couldn't possibly handle that. Basically, this is like, you know, Luke in the X-Wing going down in the trench, you know, heading towards, you know, the trash compactor.
The exhaust port.
Exhaust port, exactly. So that's in my mind. I
like got Mike.
Star Wars on. I was like, oh, now I get it. Okay, you need that.
Trench run.
You need a good trench run. So when he showed me what phasing was, it was this huge German machine which did the half-speed mastering. It actually had a scope, and you could examine the groove. So it was like on Legends and Lore, which when the Judge Hathorn says guilty to Keziah Mason, we also had a version of our performer, Ray Rochelle, scream it in the studio. So he sang it and screamed it as like a memory. And it was that screaming voice in the background, guilty, that actually created phasing. And so right before he said guilty, like the needle went, and then it would land somewhere else on the record. There's like no way you can correct that aside from remixing it and getting rid of some of those elements.
Well, the other thing too, what I've learned from watching documentaries is that louder passages they take up more room.
A wider groove. It's interesting. I was into like song sequencing, which is why artists select the order of their songs. And I was like, wow, it seems like every last track on every album is like a soft, introspective song. Why is that? Well, if you think about it, one side of an LP can, you max get 17 and a half minutes on there. As you get closer to the center, the arm has a different angle, and the needle's experiencing different torque inside that groove. So basically, you're going to have more success at delivering the soundscape that you want as an artist if the closer you get to the needle, the softer the song is.
Oh, the center of the spindle?
The center, yeah. So, you know, you're going to have your best power tracks out here, and then you get to that center, and that's where you're going to have your introspective ballad.
And also, just from what we're used to, is just we're kind of accustomed to that.
Exactly.
Kind of hitting it big and then slowing it down.
Exactly, yeah. We've introduced the music to our audience. Let's bring it back. So they can bring out their lighters and have a little moment, and then they'll flip the LP over, and we'll hit them hard again.
So the release is a double LP, 180 gram vinyl on kind of translucent crimson and violet.
Yeah, multiple shades of violet. And so the translucents, you know, if I hold this up and you can catch some of that. You know, there is sort of the swirl effect in the vinyl because, you know.
What's going on with this edging?
You like that? This is actually like pre the last final stage of pressing LPs. Is it'll come out of the press and it gets cut on the edge.
Yeah.
This gets rotated and there's a blade that cuts this excess vinyl off, and then the excess vinyl falls. And then this will slide down and get added to the production stack. There's also another mutant beast here in vinyl, and you backlight that, you'll actually see there's some shards in there. And what that is like, it's one of these labels that actually got embedded inside of the vinyl.
So crazy.
And when it was like pressed, you know, there's pressure involved, it actually snapped and cracked the label into all those pieces. And then it added another layer and another label. And the crazy thing about it is this thing still plays.
And just for everyone's record, Mike doesn't handle all his vinyl this way. These are just pieces.
Oh, yeah.
These are already beat up pieces.
Yeah. I would never do this. I respect my vinyl, absolutely. When I first started listening to vinyl as a kid, I think I manhandled all that stuff. And,
probably.
You know, if you talk about fingerprints, there's a Alan Parsons Project album up there, Eye in the Sky. That's from 1982. That's my LP from that era. I can see the fingerprint of the 11-year-old Mike on that LP, and that's kind of cool too.
That's funny. I like that. I like that story.